Today we're going to talk about bees. My Minecraft world is a little weird at times. Emily and I have been chipping away at this world for over a year, and we favor our aesthetics. She contributes to that goal very heavily by decorating the world with beautiful builds and attention to detail. You can see, as we fly over the campsite, some of her wonderful build work. I build plenty myself. The tent and a couple of other things around here are my handiwork, but my main contribution is really to bend the world to my will with commands. Now, this is a survival world, so I hear you already saying, "This is cheating, this isn't survival," and to that I say, go bother someone else, Grover, we have fun here. For my own enjoyment of the game, I require myself to do everything the old-fashioned way, then for the ease of play and decoration, I break out the command blocks and make even crazier stuff happen. This gigantic end portal lake is my favorite example. Emily and I found a portal, beat the dragon, and then after that was done, I used commands to make this, and a command block to float that boat in the portal like water. Now, about the bees. Great as a functional mob, containable for farming, but if you want a lot of them for looks, they suck. They wander off, they get killed, they choose another hive, or they find a flower too far away. Unless you want to use something more constricting, like leads in a resource pack to make the leads invisible, you're stuck with bees as Mojang intended. I fixed that problem. The net result of what I've created here is a swarm of bees at any size you want, although under 16 is recommended. They're localized around a single marker that keeps them nearby, and they behave completely normally except for the fact that they can't hold on to pollen, and they don't have a beehive, so at night they just become invisible and silent. All the fake bees are tagged, and with some commands I'll showcase later, they will not enter existing hives, nor will they assist in honey production. That means you can keep them right next to real bees to spruce up the environment, and it'll work perfectly. And yes, your eyes do not deceive you. The bees are in fact all tiny. That's because I like what it looks like. They look cute that way, so they're tiny now. We're gonna jump ahead to nighttime here so that we can see what it looks like when they actually disappear. You'll see this bee flies right up to the torch flower, and he's gone! There he goes. So that's the whole deal. Let's go take a look downstairs and see how the sausage is made. For those of you that were just here to see the demonstration, I'm not trying to waste your time. That's about it. The commands used are in the comments, but please do like and sub before you go. I've got this cool IRL build I'm going to do if we reach 100 subs. Help me make it happen. For those of you here to see the nitty-gritty, let's get to it. This is my command block room, which is how I managed to get anything done without using data packs, which I'm avoiding now because I have plenty of my own development to do without getting sucked into that rabbit hole. So everything involved in this whole bee thing, you can do yourself by using the commands in the description, and you don't even have to install anything. Alright, so we're switching gears here, and I'm going to do this real-time in person, dropping the script, and I'm just going to showcase this. And you can see I've got all these labeled with a simple version of what they do. If not tiny, then make tiny. If nectar, then no nectar, yada yada yada. And I've got it labeled, so this does it to all bees. This one is just for bee swarms. Okay, you're getting the idea here. So let's talk through how this is all functioning. So let's start from the very beginning, which is to summon the marker. So in order to make this simple, I have this block just specifically targeting Emily, which that is her right there. So it runs at her location as her and summons a marker. The align XZ and then the 0.5, 0.5 here, all that does is it makes sure that it's centered on whatever block she's standing on. And it will create a marker that is labeled in the data section on the marker. Markers work a little bit different than other NBT data. There's no custom data like they do now. It's just data, but this functions exactly the same as the custom data storage on a regular entity. For markers, it's just data. Anyway, middleshire, that's just to silo off anything that I'm doing. And then within that, we have bee swarm, 1 bee, setup, 1 bee. And yeah, all middleshire does is it avoids any strange coincidence of happening to overlap a name with something that's in a mod I have installed or a data pack I have installed. Just make sure that I don't cause any issues there. So it spawns that marker, which is completely invisible, at Emily's location. And in fact, we can demonstrate this working if I visualize markers and I change this to my name temporarily. No marker on my feet right now, and in fact, I'll even demonstrate the centering by standing on the corner of this block here. Okay? And then we press that button, and there it is, right in the center. Look at that. Isn't that lovely? Let's continue doing that, because it creates that marker with the flag of setup. Okay? And the way that that works is this is specifically looking for the marker with the setup flag. It needs to be tagged bee swarm, and it needs to have the setup flag. So we've got that right here. Needs to be a marker, right? Needs to have the bee swarm and the setup data. And then it will summon a bee with all of this extra information. So invulnerable, doesn't take any damage. The home position is initially blank, but home position is how we're keeping them located. It is, I believe, the thing that keeps ghasts from wandering off. It can be a bit finicky, so we have an extra layer to back up how that functions. We'll get to that in just a second. But it starts by giving it an empty value for, well, not an empty value, but all zeros for the home position. Home radius, it defaults to 2, can be changed if you want to, but that's the default. And tag bee swarm. So that means there's a 5x5 by 5 area centered on the summoned marker that the bees will be able to stay within. Now, it's not currently centered on that marker. That's the next step. So that happens automatically when a bee is spawned. And the only reason this is a lever instead of a button is so I can do it faster. It is not a repeating block. It will not just spam them. If I flick the leather, okay. Oh, there he is. I was about to start that over. He was just hiding. He was inside the particles and we couldn't see him. So they summon on that location. To make this easy, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the visualizer, because now we can see the bees. Right? We can see him there. If I flip this lever again, it'll summon another one. Right? They sit for a second, and then they start moving. And they stay within that. It's a 2-block radius, right? So it's the center block plus 2 in every direction. So they will stay roughly in this area. Now, the only thing about them that can be difficult is the fact that sometimes they will break this rule. A ghast, which again I'm pretty sure is what the home feature is made for, will not leave the area, but a bee will leave the area to pursue a flower because they love to be difficult, don't you? So, if there's a flower outside of their range, so we'll give ourselves one poppy to place here, which is outside of their range. Oh, that'll work too. Yeah, see, they're following me. And they get teleported back to the center. So if some other trigger causes them to break that home radius, and they get far enough away, they will get teleported back. Now, the teleporting radius is forgiving, because sometimes they wander a little bit out of that space, and it doesn't look great aesthetically when they get teleported. So I gave them some extra wiggle room. That's why there's a 20-block gap between. But they will do that even for a placed flower. See? Off they go. And joop! And they'll just keep trying. And I will destroy this. I am very serious about my not cheating things into the game rule, because as soon as I do that, the whole thing's ruined for me, and it's just not fun anymore, you know? So, you might be wondering, I had said this will not automatically set their home location, so how is their home location being set? Great question. So tag bee swarm, right? If at setup, then set home. So what this is checking for is finds the nearest bee tagged bee swarm, but also, crucially, without a set home position. So this helps prevent the markers from grabbing other bees. But it also has a distance limiter of 6. So it's kind of hard to screw this up if you keep to the 20 blocks away rule. It really should just work. So it finds that bee, and then, as you might expect, it sets the home position based on its own location. This block is always on. As soon as they're created, the bee's home location is set to this marker, which you can't see right now, but once again, there it is, right? They're centered on this as soon as they're created. So when we summon a new bee, he comes out, and before you know it, any time now, sir, I know you're in there somewhere. There you go. Before you know it, he's already programmed to stay right here. So that's fully automatic. And then after you're done, if you have your whole swarm of bees, you click this Remove Setup button. It will say it modified the data, right? And now, if I try to flick this lever, it does not run a command. There's no output because it couldn't run the command because it could not find that entity. So that is how it is established. Let's talk about how it works. That's over on this side. Oh, and this is our emergency kill all bees, swarm bees button. This does not have a button attached to it. It has a button here so that if I come over here in an emergency, I can pop it on there, but I will never accidentally destroy all of the bee swarm bees. And by saying I will never do that, I've probably cursed myself to do it eventually. But anyway, so starting from the top. Technically, this is not part of the bee swarm thing, but we have one command that is targeting all bees and says if they are not tiny, make them tiny. So even when I'm out in the world on my server, just exploring, and I come across new bees, they will be tiny bees. Almost certainly before I see them, they will be made small. Because as soon as they're loaded, this will run. This chunk that we're standing in, you might have noticed that this space is exactly a chunk. I am force loading this chunk. So these command blocks are always loaded, they are always running. It is effectively the same thing as them being a data pack. So, if bee, not tiny, make tiny. Command looks like this. Very easy. They're all going to be in the description. I'm not going to show every single one of these commands. I will list them with the description that's on the sign, so that they're easy to find while you're going through this video. So, if you want the tiny bees, you need this one first. You do not need that for the artificial bee swarm thing to function. So, starting with the actual bee swarm stuff. So, if you find a bee swarm bee, right, and it has nectar, then you take away the nectar. As simple as locating the bee swarm bee with nectar and then setting that value to false. Very easy. These are all repeating command blocks, does it automatically, so you'll see it happen. It actually does happen in the demonstration at the beginning of this video. The shot that's looking at the horses, you can see a bee briefly pick up nectar and then lose it again immediately. So this one is executing as the marker, right? And at that location. That's what the @s does. And then it is teleporting any bee that is between a distance of 6 and 8 away back to its own location, right? Just teleport at self. So this is why you have to do the execute as marker, because it makes the rest of the command so much simpler. Otherwise, we would have to write this over and over again, and we have a command length limit in command blocks. So, there you go. If any bee gets too far away, they will be teleported back to the center. So on the off chance that the home data value does not do its job, which from what I've read, happens, and in my testing I did see it happen once or twice, they will be teleported back, and that'll solve that problem. Next, toggle no AI. This will affect all of the fake bees. So you can see, well, they're actually not moving too much. There they go. Now they're moving around. You can see that they are, in fact, alive. It would really help if you guys would move. This one guy's the only one paying attention. Okay, all of you start moving again. Here, easier demo. With AI, they will follow me around, right? And without, they cannot. All this does is there's one block setting all of the bee swarms to no AI, and one block that does the opposite. And there's a redstone torch right here, so if you flip this lever, it toggles between these two commands running. That's all it does. So flip that, And then they don't move anymore. Even if I bring out a poppy, they're not going anywhere. And this will apply to all of the bee swarm bees on the entire world. Flip that back. They are alive again. Final piece of the puzzle. They have a data value called CannotEnterHiveTime. We are constantly setting that value to 20 if it is not 20. So it won't keep targeting the same bee. And to make sure that it gets all of them, we also have it sorting by random. Otherwise, it will continue to target... I think it sorts by nearest by default. So it will continue to target whatever bee is nearest this command block, which is... No, this is executing... Yes. Yeah, that's finding the bee. So this one just executes as the bee in question. Which means that the location is still determined by this command block at that point. So when it's searching for that bee, unless you do sort random, like we have in this block here, it will continue to pick the nearest bee over and over again, and then all the other ones will, their CannotEnterHiveTime ticks will drop like normal, and they'll start going into your other bees' hives. But this is what prevents them from doing that. So it sounds complicated, but really, it's it's 3 command blocks to make the thing actually function. Teleport back if it's too far. If nectar, then no nectar. CannotEnterHiveTime constantly set to 20. Those 3 things, and all of your bee swarm tagged bees will behave. Now, of course, that requires using this command correctly to create the bees. But that's what these extra blocks are for. So these here that we talked about at the beginning are just for ease of setup, whereas the ones on this side are actually necessary for the whole operation to function. You could, if you wanted to, manually create this marker with commands, right? Just on your location, easy, and then spawn bees at your location with commands manually, easy. The thing that this prevents is accidentally mislabeling them, or anything like that that would cause the whole thing to break. So it's not technically required. But I think that is it. So, thank you so much for hanging out with me. It has indeed been a blast as always. If you're looking for a more specific feed tailored to your own interests, please check out the sister channels in the description. Please do check out the Patreon if you'd love to support. We do weekly vlogs there to keep you guys updated on what I'm doing, even if I don't get a video out that week. We've got videos coming out weekly on Sundays on the YouTube channel. I'm going to start getting social media content spinning up again. And please, please, please do like and subscribe. We're trying to get to 100 subs so that I can do a lovely new build for you guys in the real world. So I hope you'll partake, and I'll hope to see you there. Take care, everybody. Thanks so much. It's been a blast. I will see you next time. Bye now.